A master called together a few young men of this generation and spoke to them, saying, I gave your great-grandfathers a time of despair and poverty and global war. They were strong and victorious and built an empire greater than any other. But they were terrible fathers and raised entitled sons and daughters of rot who inherited everything through no courage of their own. To those rotten sons, your own grandfathers, I gave abundance and wealth and stability. But they pissed it all away on debauchery and sexual revolution, establishing many idols and slaughtering tens of millions of children in sacrifice to their appetites. One generation fought against the perpetrators of a great Holocaust. The next dishonored that victory with an even greater Holocaust of their own children. The children who did survive, your fathers, carried on the sexual descent of their parents into new madness and new disease, piercing and inking their skin like death-worshipping pagans as they did, establishing special days of pride to celebrate the debauch, slaughtering more children and castrating and poisoning others, claiming to be creators when they were destroyers, mutilating the young and calling it acceptance. All these generations I have judged, and am judging. Their madness now is only a taste of my wrath. The young men were afraid and asked the master why he had called them and why he was telling them these things. Because it is now your turn. I am giving all of this chaos to you, he said. Your inheritance is a world of crumbling false gods crowded with blind and mad worshippers. I am entrusting you with a world of empires built on cracked and heaving foundations. The time of your inheritance is near. You have only a little while to prepare yourselves. Seize this moment of chaos and build me a world of sanity and righteousness. When I return, I will judge what you have built for me. With so much rubble to work with, I expect great things. The master turned to leave, but the young men begged him to wait. How can we do this, they asked. There are hundreds of millions of unbelievers in our nation alone and only a few of us. Their master answered, saying, I am not a hard master. You will have the truth and wisdom if you desire it. And you may each choose one woman to help you. That should be enough. Go now and build New St. Andrew's College. Carpe Chaos.
What if you could join a network of business leaders who share your Christian values, who reject the separation of faith and business, and who have a fierce vision for success? Welcome to Business Makers Network, a network that strives to create community, build intellectual wealth and practical business knowledge, and grow thriving businesses for the kingdom. We're not just another business network. We are a community of unapologetic Christian leaders who understand that success in business blesses our customers, blesses our families and employees, and in the end drives greater profits. All of Christ for all our business efforts as we aim to take the talents God has given us and turn them into 30, 60, and 100-fold. With a combined net worth already exceeding $1 billion in committed memberships, our members are reshaping the business landscape while staying true to our Christian values and taking dominion in the lanes God has paid for us. As a member, you'll gain exclusive access to our Business Makers Network app, discounts to live workshop events, network calls with key influencers, access to like-minded Christian business leaders, a pool of hands-on intellectual wealth and practical business knowledge, mentorship and menteeship programs. We will be rolling those out over the coming year. Read-only access for the tier above you for educational purposes. Invitations to our annual corporate partner dinner. Networking events at the Fight Laugh Feast conference. We offer membership tiers designed to match your business journey. From our exclusive Double Diamond level for industry titans, to our green membership for promising startups, to our MVP tier that is looking for a community of Christian, like-minded business leaders. There's a place for every serious business leader in our community. Your network is your net worth. Join Business Makers today and become a part of a movement that is changing the face of Christian business leadership. Visit our website now to secure your membership and step into a community where faith, business, and success align. Hey y'all, welcome to Cross Politics on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Good to be with you. Yes, I got my John Deere. This is not about Doug. This is about me right now. I want Summer to be here, so I was like, I'm putting on Summer.
Are they paying for this?
Putting on Summer. No, they are not paying. This is not a paid sponsorship. My bad. Pastor Toby, Chalk Knox, I'm the Water Boy, and of course the master non-theonomous artist.
Well,
Doug
he's a
TenNapel.
theonomist. I claim him.
Doug
He's an
TenNapel's
honorary
in the house.
theonomist.
He's speaking at the Period Gallery tonight, the art gallery here in Moscow. Tonight.
He's giving away all sorts
5
of
o'clock,
art.
right after the show.
I'm giving away all kinds of art.
What?
Free art, given original pages of my art. I just gave away like 40 pieces today.
How much is that?
A lot.
Oh,
A lot.
man.
I can't get the money that I need for my artwork. So I just go, I'm giving it away. I'm not taking these scraps.
Yeah.
What?
Because then in my mind, I can say they're still worth like $10,000 each.
What?
I just give them away.
Yeah.
Maybe
Are they write-offs? Are they
I
write-offs?
might even have to take a write-off for them.
There you go.
And I'm not an anti-theonomist. I'm like, partial preterist. I'm a partial theonomist.
Yeah.
There's no
I
such
think-
thing.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. I'll take it.
I mean, we're a New Testament fulfilled theonomist, which you could probably argue some sort of partial theonomist there. Some level.
I don't know.
You know?
What is this partial stuff?
Yeah, I'm just trying to help Doug.
You're trying to reach out to him?
Yeah, I'm trying to reach out.
You make him feel welcome?
Yeah, I'm trying to love my neighbor.
Yeah, because he's a real gentle spirit.
Yeah.
I'm fragile.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, if you guys don't act right, I'll lose my faith.
Did you grow up fragile?
Don't
And
offend me.
How did you grow up fragile and become less fragile over time?
I definitely got less fragile because I was already, not super social, caring about a lot of other people's feelings, which can be a real weakness.
Yeah.
But then when you weigh out in it and you see that people who do treat you like trash do not give one rip about truth or anything, and they just destroy you, then you just go, well, now I don't care at all now.
Yeah.
Like you guys are liars and evil. So even less caring now about what people think. And you really see the danger of, even in the church, Christians, if you care too much,
What people think.
about what people think, or being forgiving when it's inappropriate,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to be forgiving, but it's not an absolute that in every single case, when someone is, say, destroying your family, that you must forgive them and love your enemy on the spot. That'd be a real dumb strategy.
Hmm.
So it's kind of allowing me to be about as offensive as I need to be. And I'm always apologizing for my tongue, because we know the warning that the tongue is a fire.
Mm.
It just burns things to the ground. I don't want to hide behind that either and use that as a defense. But at the same time, being too open and too accepting, I think is another fire that's burning us.
Yeah.
It's why you have the LGBTQ, everything.
Mhm.
Everything wrong, I think, is because gentlemen said nothing. We lost the fight, and that's why we need to fight, laugh, feast.
That's right.
Ding.
Ding. That's the voice of Doug TenNapel. If you're listening in right now, or of course, if you're tuning in live, watching this on the X or the YouTubes or wherever else we might be. Are we anywhere else? I don't know. You should
Rumble. We're on Rumble.
share the show. We're on Rumble?
Yeah.
Who knew?
No, yeah, because it's on Rumble.
Because it's on Rumble.
Nobody else
Nobody knows.
Like you are?
Yes, we always appreciate it though. Share the show, tag your friends, tag your enemies, tag someone that needs some of this goodness. The gospel applied to the public square. We're grateful to have Doug TenNapel with us today, and I'll introduce him more formally in just a moment. In an age where lies dominate the public square, the need for virtue has never been greater. In a culture captivated by destruction and death, the world longs for builders and fighters, those anchored in truth, devoted to liberty, and committed to fruitfulness. New St. Andrews College rises to meet this need, preparing leaders who will faithfully shape culture under the lordship of Jesus Christ. New St. Andrews College offers an excellent undergraduate education in the liberal arts, firmly rooted in Christian and Reformed perspectives. Its mission is to equip students for lives of faithful service to the triune God and his kingdom, equipping them to use their gifts to cultivate and advance Christian culture. The college doesn't exist to merely hand out degrees, but to establish exceptional leaders who can wield the axe of St. Boniface to destroy idols, while harnessing the wisdom of great historical thinkers to build edifices of masterful brilliance that shape the world. The call is clear. We want a generation prepared to stand firm, build wisely, and live faithfully. And applications for fall 2025 are now open at nsa.edu/apply.
I feel God right there.
Oh, you feel God.
He can't hear that.
Yeah.
I can,
Yeah, you've got a high school senior that could apply to New St. Andrews.
yeah, I would love to see him go to New St. Andrews.
If you wanted to do that. Yeah.
I love
He's probably
just-
foregoing. He's looking at military right now,
Yeah.
but New St. Andrews would be a great option. I've lectured here before. I'm a huge fan of the college, including they have a master's program. And Faith, the gal that runs the gallery, she just got her master's in creative writing. I wouldn't mind picking up one of those.
Yeah, man.
New St. Andrews.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great college.
I think you're too creative.
I
To go back to school.
You listen to Cross Politic because you believe Christ is king, not just over your soul, but over everything, including your finances. That's
I feel
why
God right there.
Dominion Wealth Strategists exist to help Christian families take dominion, build wealth, and advance God's kingdom. Whether it's budgeting, debt management, retirement planning, or estate planning, Dominion Wealth equips you with the strategies to reduce your donation to Caesar and maximize your gift to God. This isn't just about mere financial stability. It's about building a legacy that advances Christ's reign on earth. As independent agents, Dominion Wealth works for you, leveraging the best tools and services to help you build, protect, and pass on wealth, all for God's glory. The future belongs to Christ and his people, so start building the capital that you and your children will boldly deploy. Book your free consultation at www.reformed.money, and take dominion over your finances. From baptism to burial, Dominion's got you covered. Again, that's reformed.money to book a complimentary consultation today.
Message.
I mean, if you're Baptist, from baptism to burials, you're missing some of the kids' lives.
no,
you know? If you're Presbyterian,
They don't know. Totally Presbyterian.
it could be.
It's all
It
good.
Could be. Probably is.
So
Doug-
from infant baptism to burial.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
But we said baptism.
Yeah,
So.
Does it need a qualifier?
But you repeat us. Doug TenNapel makes books, art, and is the creator of Earthworm Jim. Doug has worked as a professional artist for 30 years. Is that still accurate? Is it 30? 30? 35?
35.
Okay. This is out of date. He is the author and illustrator of Ghostopolis, Bad Island, Cardboard, and Tommysaurus Rex. He's the creator of the cult classic video game Earthworm Jim, so the video game. And Doug lives in Franklin, Tennessee with his wife and their 4 kids. I mean, although probably several of them are out of the house now. So maybe one?
Only one left in the house
Yeah.
now, so it's getting kind of scary.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Wife and I are looking at each other going like,
We're really gonna have to love each other now.
that's right. This place is a basketball court, man. It's empty.
Thank you for coming back
Yeah,
on the
man.
show.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate you very much.
Mhm.
And as Doug just mentioned a moment ago, he's here particularly because the New St. Andrews Purian Art Gallery is doing a show right now.
Biggest show of my life.
Really?
Yeah, I've done a ton of art shows. LA, San Diego, Orange County is usually where I showed. I've done them even in Tennessee. But this one I had 4,000 original pages of my comic book art laying around. And Faith gave me a call, who runs the gallery, and goes, we were thinking about, you want to do an art? I go, I got a great idea for an art show.
Yeah.
You just hang hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of my art pieces on the wall.
Yeah.
No frames, nothing. Just
Yeah.
so people can come in and just get the feeling of what is original comic.
So
art.
they just staple it.
It's from my entire career. Well, they did put sticky stuff on the back.
Okay.
but it ends up, I walked in the show today, and it's really weird because this is going to sound really dumb, but I just looked at all the art as if it was another artist. And I go,
Yeah.
man, I would do that kind of art.
Right. Yeah.
I would do
And
that.
you did.
And I did.
Yeah.
It's my art. I'm going, it looks like a perfect art show because it's my art. And because all my art is my opinion of what I think should exist. So I come up with that, I put it on the show, and it's a really neat show. Families are coming through, college kids, design people. If you're going to college, if you want to think about storytelling, but also I do a lot of the fine art snobby principles of truth, goodness, and beauty in my work, including design principles, composition, flow of line, structure. All those principles are all at work in my show. So come and see.
Connect those dots for me. I mean, again, you think of I mean, people might even be wondering this. Like, I just read a New St. Andrews ad, and they're like, New St. Andrews, like that's not, they're kind of a snobby,
bookie,
high, they're reading all the great books, the classics, Latin, Greek. They're singing, Bach and Handel, and they got a comic book artist in there. How's that work?
Well, it is true to look askew at pop media, because pop media is often not high art, although the high art that we watch now was at one time kind of more pedestrian and pop media when it came out.
Mhm.
Are you saying your art's part of pop media? Okay.
It very much is landfill, like video games, Happy Meals, comic books, even YouTube content. This show isn't going to stand the test of time, and people aren't going to be watching it or studying it in a college 1,000 years from now.
You might be surprised.
I'm guessing.
You might be surprised.
yeah, you might.
You're on the show today, so I'm just saying.
Are you saying
this
there's
is
a
your
difference?
best shot?
Yeah.
Are you saying there's a difference between, let's say, pop art and high art, as you would maybe call it?
Yeah. So
Okay.
New St. Andrews studies high art and we respect high art because it, at the very least, has stood the test of time.
Mm.
And we believe that they were probably pursuing truer things at its source in the past than what art pursues today, which is it is not obsessed with true sourcing.
Uh-huh.
It is more obsessed with, say, personal experience,
Mhm.
what I feel.
Yeah.
What is stimulating, like grotesque horror movies or something. It's stimulating. What is popular? So just if it's broad, they'll tend to say it's true.
Uh-huh.
Whereas
Yeah.
someone like Melville, who wrote Moby Dick, it never sold out of its first printing of 3,500 books before he died.
Right.
So he thought it was a failure when he died. And so if he was a pop media artist, he'd
It's
go
still
like,
a failure to me.
you go, oh,
Just,
give me that.
Oh wow! I just saw you get violent.
Goodness.
I see.
Apparently,
I agree with them.
apparently the John Deere isn't just a hat.
It's reality.
It's a lifestyle, man. He's rejected Moby Dick. I'm sorry. It's not Biker Magazine, Monster Truck Magazine, Gabe.
Oh, it feels so good. Yeah.
Doug, don't hold back. Don't
No,
hold back.
you interrupted him, Gabe.
I
Let the
did.
man
I got him off track.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I said what I wanted to say. It was that there is a difference.
yeah.
That I am a pop media artist, and just because something is like today, everyone just goes nuts over if it's popular, right? You look at YouTube views.
Yep.
You look at K-pop bands, and there's more people that have listened to K-pop bands than have listened to the entire history of Bach, or the Beatles.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So does that mean Korean pop bands are therefore onto something good, or is it just popular? I would say the widespread porn spreading, it just means it's popular. It's something people are using, and then it's discarded. It's
Right.
not.
It's kind of the pornification of art.
Yeah. But you don't think of like David carves Michelangelo carves the David out of marble, and you'll, well, we're done with that this week, so throw that in the landfill. No, it lasted a little longer than that.
Yeah.
So people, in fact, when you go see it, I stand there and a little tear. You just stand before it and you go,
Really?
yeah, even today.
And part of what you're getting at though is, so there's a difference in, so there's an overlap between good popular art and classical or high art.
Yeah.
And the overlap is the concern with truth and goodness and beauty
And longevity, which would be part of that.
but pop art can be here today, gone tomorrow, but it can still say something true about the world.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And something true about beauty and something true about goodness. And that's where you'd say the overlap is. But the fact that we've got a proliferation of pop art that's mostly trash,
Yeah.
the pornification of it, it's really that's more of a revelation of our soul. That we are not really hungry for truth and goodness and beauty. We're hungry to have our egos stroked or our sensations stroked.
And it's a creator problem, but it's an even bigger problem with the audience.
Right.
So as
Uh-huh.
bad as the creators are, the audience is worse.
Right.
And
Preach.
there's more of them. So and you'll find small truths, good truths in some secular media, like
Even K-pop.
yeah, I guess. I mean, they
It's
sing
possible.
songs. They sing
Yeah.
heterosexual love songs, so that's better than some songs.
Yeah, that's a low bar. Boy,
That's a low bar.
that's a
Male and
low-
female, right?
You got to lower your bar.
He's a guy who wants to be with a girl.
Yeah. Well, like if
Wow.
you look at Breaking Bad, there are truths and warnings in it that are very good. It doesn't mean it's perfect or anything, but every writer who's writing in Hollywood or artist like me, I'm a classically trained artist, and so I'll put those true, good, and beautiful, eternally true things like composition, balance, rhythm, beauty,
Mm.
stuff like that, structure in my art, even though it's just landfill, right? So we actually have a pretty art literate society for how illiterate the art is coming out, and even worse for what the audience
That's interesting.
watches. Every writer in Hollywood has read Shakespeare. They're trained.
Yeah.
They could write that. They ain't gonna. Most musicians learned classical music, right? They
Yeah.
played the piano and they learned chord progression, and they didn't do just atonal noise. If you just pick any random note on a guitar, it's not going to work. So even a rock guy who's playing a bar chord, he knows he has to play a certain thing or it won't even be music. So that is a huge tribute to the truth of certain structures in the arts, that it's not all personal perception is true, perception is reality.
Right.
Everyone obeys a certain amount of rules just to be able to communicate something to an audience member.
Right.
So then where's the high art at now? Or is anybody doing high art right
Ain't
now?
no one doing it. I mean, well, I did see one thing. The new, was it the World War I monument at Washington, D.C. by a classical artist?
Is it still there?
Yeah,
Just
no,
wondering.
he just
No.
made this piece that's like 60 feet long.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
We went through there.
Tell them about that. That's
It's I mean, when did it go in? Like 2020?
Yeah.
I mean, it was because I think it was brand new. When
no, it was September. It was last year.
Oh, that's a newer one then.
It's a new one. It's the 60-foot long memorial by a classically trained artist who did a giant metal. It's a story structure.
Oh, okay. This is
It went up.
something different.
This went up in September.
Okay. I was thinking I thought maybe it's not World War One. Maybe I'm thinking of a different one. But there's a newer one that went up around 2020. That's last time I think I was. Well, no, maybe when did I go there last? I can't even remember. But it was in the last few years, and it's a bunch of like bronzes of these of statue. These soldiers working their way, and like that was actually like decent art.
Yeah. So that's an example of something that took old school craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Not a lot of interpretation for you to figure out what it is.
Right.
Just telling the true story that happened.
Yeah.
So then, I guess, so
I got
what
a-
makes a culture crave high art again? Because right now, are you familiar with the Odyssey? Right.
Yeah.
I just found out that "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" was a retelling of the Odyssey. I had no
You
idea.
just found that out?
I did not
Wow.
know. Well, hadn't read the Odyssey until I got here, so but the only reason I found that out was because of the musical from Jay Moran, the epic musical.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with this kind of modern retelling, which probably be more kind of pop, I guess, in the way he did it.
Yeah.
But it made me look back to old stories, and I'm like, I got to read the Iliad, I got to read the Odyssey, I got to engage with this. And then I'm finding out there's a lot of other people who know what high art is, and then are writing stories to try and get people to embrace that. And so you get these people like Jay Moran who are like doing pop art, but they're calling back to high art.
The problem with masses is that goes into an art versus commerce thing, where when an artist is trying to tell the truth, it's very different than when an artist says, I have to make a living at this. Because now you're going to engage those masses. And maybe I just don't want to make art that is just for New St. Andrews graduates who are fully literate in the things. I want to make it for the common man.
Right.
Like that's what happens in Barton Fink. He's like, I want to make plays for the common man, not the highfalutin educated people.
Yeah.
So there's always been an artistic version for the masses. In fact, Shakespeare originally was that. It was for the illiterate, unwashed masses. His plays, they weren't for college graduates. Those plays.
So it takes time.
They are now.
Yeah. Now it's high art.
So the question is, do you want to entertain millions of people or do you want to entertain 300? Because 300, you'll probably get a more honest core audience, but you won't be able to make a living on it because they're not going to pay you as much as if you get an audience of 100,000 people. And so that's the temptation that's always there for every artist is, do I want to make a great steak where maybe I'll open my shop and it'll close because I make great steaks? Or do I want to have something be popular and McDonald's is going to pay me to design a new dollar item menu for their thing and everyone in the world will try it?
Yeah.
So do you want to make a living and be popular, or do you want to tell the truth and be poor? And artists have been walking that tightrope ever since.
I think that's true, and at the same time, I would say it seems to me that there's a in a healthy culture, you have to have a full range.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way that you can't eat, like most people are not going to eat steak every night of the week.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have a high end Wagyu beef, whatever thing,
Yeah.
you know, every night of the week. But you have to grow people up, which means you want to have good home cooked meals. But it's not McDonald's every meal either, because then you got cancer and you're dead.
That's right.
But if it's, you got home cooked meals are healthy.
Potentially, I don't want to get sued by McDonald's. Potentially,
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Could be, could not be. Yeah. Sorry, McDonald's.
Sorry.
But I'm just saying, like, it seems to me that like in a healthy culture, you have to actually have a lot of good pop art.
It's everyday meals, is what you're saying.
Everyday meals. Yeah. And you also have another category that we haven't talked about. I think it was Ken Myers in a book, All God's Children Wear Blue Suede Shoes. I don't know if you ever read that book, but he argues that there's also folk art, and folk art is sort of a intersection between pop and high art. That it's not something necessarily that you're going to put a tuxedo on to do. It might be banjo music. It might be
small and local
square dancing, but it also has the test of time though. So rather than just what you call landfill, you know, rather than the pop, it's here today, gone tomorrow, folk stands the test of time, even though it might not be high art. But I think a healthy culture has to have the full range of meals.
It does have it already naturally, just because people want different things at different times. So they do eat that high-end steak and McDonald's and home-cooked meals. So they end up getting everything.
But as I'm saying though, is I think, but artists like you, well, I appreciate the split of like, do I want to eat or do I want to do what I want and what I believe? I totally.
Yeah, I don't want to be overly didactic. I'm kind of boiling it down to the big picture of what every artist wrestles with doing.
But I think there is a place for good. I mean, like we all had little kids at one point, and you spent
board books for kids.
Yeah, you spend a lot of time like reading those board books, and those board books are kind of pop, but it's feeding their souls. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of macaroni and cheese, a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but even that, like, we saw recently. Can I talk about Steve Deace's new book? Can I mention it? Steve Deace is
coming out.
Yeah, Steve Deace has got a new book coming out. It's just a picture book. About a little kid who's goes to school and he's basically got like a LGBT activist teacher, and who's the kid notices that there's only 6 colors in that rainbow that teacher's really excited about, but he remembers Bible stories where there were 7 colors in the rainbow. Yeah. And goes home and talks to his dad about it, and his dad says, spoiler alert, that's stupid, and pulls his kid out of government school. Yeah, and like that's a great little story to have. Given the world we live in right now, it's like I'd love to have that storybook. Is it going to stand the test of time? Is it going to be no? Mm-hmm. But like we need lots of mac and cheese. We need lots of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Like board books that tell you the alphabet. Board books that tell you the story of the creation of the world, board books that tell you about
Hello Ninja,
King David and Hello Ninja and all these kinds of things that feed souls and that train imaginations and are creating hungry people for truth, goodness, and beauty. So you might not be, it's not an audience necessarily for those 300 NSA grads, but it's people who might one day be those NSA grads and might also one day have been fed by Doug TenNapel comic strips and one day think, who actually have the means to say, I want to actually hire a high-end artist to compose a piece of music, or I want to hire an architect to build a beautiful church building. Mm-hmm. But you don't get that out of nowhere. You get that because their souls have been fed with a lot of good pop and good folk art.
Are you concerned about what AI might bring to this conversation?
I was going to bring that
there
right
we go
in.
with AI. I couldn't wait to get there because right now there's a lot of artists are concerned, and not just artists, everybody who is inside of the creative. Yeah, they're doing the whiny. They're concerned that AI is going to pollute the environment
It is.
So
Legit.
you're happy about this?
I'm, first of all, the argument even over AI
Yeah.
is in and of itself a pop culture trend. So those who are for it and against it are just following the masses. So even to bring it up.
Well, why insult me like that?
Well,
bro?
hold on, brother. I'm only
Oh.
saying most people don't even understand like what AI is, and all they know is to take a side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So number one is this is a trend of what do you think of AI?
Yeah.
Number two is AI is going to take over everything, and the audience will 100% adopt it.
Well, thank you for joining us on Cross Politics.
If you're single, get married. If you're married,
Baptize your kid, but not with a robot. If the robot baptizes your kids,
That's
does
not
it count?
going to work.
Does it count if it's a robot dunking them?
Yeah.
Doesn't count. No. Toby says
No.
no,
But
I'm
seems-
calling a foul.
Seems to me one of the things AI is doing, it's kind of crowdsourcing. If you apply it to art, it's crowdsourcing, art. Or
Yes.
you apply it to writing, it'll crowdsource art basically, or crowdsource writing. And so when it's crowdsourcing, it's basically stealing an idea from here, stealing an idea from here.
Not stealing. It's not stealing an idea.
It's not
Get 'em.
referencing. It's not referencing Earthworm Jim when it integrates it into their.
That's
into
what I
art.
mean. You'll never find an AI that has a specific, accurate, pixel for pixel version of Earthworm Jim. I've seen it,
Mhm.
but that's what stealing would look like.
But it's stealing your idea without referencing you.
It doesn't. You can't copyright an idea. You can't copyright a style.
You can copyright branding.
You have to show damages.
I just did.
People do it all the time. People do it all the time.
That's it.
What?
Please create a picture of Earthworm Jim.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. That's such a threat to me. That's what everyone's crying about. They're ignorant. They don't know.
Well, so I think part of what AI is going to do, it's going to hurt the artists that stink.
No, it's going to help the artists that
You think
stink.
so?
Yeah, because they're crippled. They can't draw well. AI will make anyone draw well. Non-artists can draw. Non-artists will be able to write. You'll be able to animate. You'll be able to make a series by yourself.
It's
It's a tool.
It's going to saturate the industry.
It 100% will 100% saturate because your industry people are devouring pop media now more than ever before. YouTube is the number one way that people watch media and TV in the world today. So though it's low quality, it's me with a camera and a microphone. It does better. More people watch it than Breaking Bad. Well-produced series. Netflix and the networks are terrified of YouTube. YouTube's terrified of AI because AI is going to allow everyone to create thousands and thousands of shows, finished shows a day, and finished video games a day, animated series, and write books every day and put them out there for free. So that market is done. If you're competing on the McDonald's level,
Right.
not if you're competing on, I make the best homemade preserves and make them at the fair.
Right.
I know there's such a thing as Smuckers, but I win first place at the fair with my preserves every day. That's not threatened.
Right.
Neither is handwriting. Look, I handwrite my books with a crow quill and ink. It has me. It's very intimate with me. I only have an audience of 30 people, but AI can't do that.
Okay.
But it can do big garbage pop media. So it's all the big garbage pop media guys that are scared. I'm going, hey, I make Drac on Cartoon Network for cheap. It has bad animation principles, bad writing. It's low. And now this AI thing's letting people do it for free. My market's getting destroyed. Someone stop. This is immoral. I'm like, given what you've been doing with the arts for the last 30 years, if all the arts collapsed into a toilet, big loss.
So what about?
Oh, this is so good.
So what about? Let's just work with an example.
Let the
here.
man cook.
Let's say, I want to write a book on why Doug's wrong about theonomy.
Yeah.
And I go into, Grok, whatever, Claude, whatever, and I start prompting it. It writes a good chapter, and then it writes a second chapter, writes a third chapter. And then I publish the book and I make money off it.
Yeah.
To me, so here's how I look at AI. I look at AI as like a good assistant, a good editor. And if AI is doing all the work, then I don't want to use it. I want AI to be assistant to me. I want AI to be editor to me. So let's say I'm writing a book. And I go into AI and this paragraph's just, I mean, I just can't tweak it the way I want, or whatever.
You
so
will,
I go into AI.
it will get there.
Yeah.
So I go into AI and just say, hey, rewrite this paragraph for me.
Yeah.
Well, that's an editor. Versus like I go into AI and say, hey, write me 12 chapters.
Oh no, it can write you 12 chapters. I've done it.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm like, I reject that use of AI where it's like, it just does all the work for me.
Because we've never had ghostwriters before. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
You
never
were
done
responding.
ghostwriters, never had an editor.
No, I also wouldn't want to use a ghostwriter.
Yeah. Well,
No, but
right.
you don't have to. I'm only saying we can still make woodcuts. We can carve our little woodcuts or we can use a printing press, or you can digitize
But that's all
it.
coming from you. That's what I'm saying.
It's-
You're the driver
the
of that
audience
content.
doesn't-
You're the driver of that art.
Yeah. My point is the audience doesn't care about the source, and they never have. They don't care about the purity of source. If I play you the hookiest, best song that slaps better than any Zeppelin song, and it does the hook and it makes you do this, you're going to go, thank you. I go, oh, but it was made by AI.
Yeah.
You're going to go, but it turned the gears, it moved me. You don't care. You do not care.
And Gabe's going to say, take my money.
No,
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, I'll just go do that myself and play my own
But
AI
you can't.
music.
Your wedding rings were dug out of the ground by some 14-year-old little black kid in some other country who has mud all over him. He got slave wages. They melted that gold down and made your wedding ring. Do you care? No, you bought a wedding ring. We do slave material. Every piece of clothing that you wear is by a Chinese slave, probably a Uyghur that got ground into sausage the next day. You don't care. You will buy it. You'll buy it. You'll buy it when AI steals everyone's idea. People downloaded software their whole life, and now suddenly they're going like, AI is making video games for free. When they're using my IP. Oh, like the ones that you stole when you downloaded every game I've ever made. Every book I've ever made is over on all these BitTorrents to be downloaded. And these are the same people going, but AI can't steal. Or, whoa, we artists have integrity.
My
Do you
clothes are
care
from
about the truth and quality.
my clothes are from India now because the tariffs are too high from China. Just so you know, I just want to make that very clear.
That's my, yeah, they'll write books all day because people just want, in fact, we learned it largely from the porn industry, that what porn does is it tricks your mind. What you see creates the trigger response in the human male, if you know what I mean. It's not real. You didn't earn it. It doesn't love you. It's the illusion of all those things.
That's right.
And the audience, 100% adoption.
Yeah.
Does not care. You go like, hey, ethically, it's wrong. It's bad.
It's fake.
It's fake.
It's not real.
Look, I know it's fake.
Right.
I know it's fake.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
AI, 100% adoption by the audience. So
I guess I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to get at is I'm trying to bring some standards to how I would like to use AI.
yeah.
So like for example, the editor standard. I think that's a good, legitimate use of AI. But for me, for it to produce my art or produce my book for me, or to produce,
But isn't that? Are we also talking about a difference of what it is that you're making? Because if it can make McDonald's level entertainment for free, why would we not? Why would
100%.
why would we not embrace that?
100%. And you can play it on Cross-Politic, your 50 animated shows where you tell the AI.
We've already done it.
Yeah.
They've created songs,
Yeah.
pop songs.
Yeah.
They did. I did not approve it at all. Just for the record.
I totally
slave all of this animation under a biblical worldview, Grok, and it spits out an entire
Yep.
series, and you put it on Cross-Politic.
Yep.
I'm just saying it's not the good, it's not the best. And I agree with you on, I would prefer to write. Okay.
Yeah.
We talked about this earlier with edification. It's not edifying to have a machine do everything for you,
Right.
including have a relationship with a woman for you or write an entire book for you. It is edifying to sit down and probably handwrite a book.
and to hear your voice through it.
Yeah.
And AI strips that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but AI, I'm only saying what you're really angry at is that someone else is using AI. You don't have to use it personally at all, ever. Don't use it. But what you're mad at is everyone else is going to be able to write stories that are just a machine did it, and it took no human interaction. It's like, yeah, that's exactly
Well,
what's
all
going to happen.
human interaction. Actually, that's what AI is doing.
Well,
It's aggregating human interaction into a story for you.
it's doing something different also than what people think it is. Okay, so my art was used to train Midjourney AI, one of the first ones.
I did not know that.
They used my entire library illegally without my permission
Interesting.
to train it. So there is some Doug TenNapel in all the creations
Praise
made by
God.
Midjourney.
That's good.
Well,
Yeah, it's great. It's a huge compliment to me. I go, yeah, cool.
Be nice about it.
Where's my money?
Like, well, I'm an authority and they should do it so it looks better because everything else is crap. So I agree with them on their authority. However, it does not steal anything I actually do. It only steals that of
Pieces,
my art,
parts.
that of my art that is already out in the public, and anyone else could bring up one of those JPEGs and go, I'm going to trace what Doug does.
Yeah.
It's not illegal. He's learning every shortcut that I ever learned in my entire lifetime. And that's all AI is doing. It learned every shortcut that I ever did. It can give you the feeling of Earthworm Jim without making Earthworm Jimmy. That you can tell it like, hey, I want Earth Bill Cat in Doug TenNapel style. It'll give it to you. I want to create a character that gives people the feeling and nostalgia of what Doug did with Earthworm Jim. It can do that.
Yep.
It's not illegal.
Yep.
Wow.
It's not illegal at all. I had it writing stories in Melville's voice. I've had it write commentary on comic books using Victor Davis Hanson's voice.
Yeah.
I was on a podcast, a Chesterton podcast, where we were reading Tremendous Trifles, and they created a Chesterton AI voice based on the tiny clip of his only known recording of his voice to read Tremendous Trifles to us in his voice.
Wow.
It sounded exactly like Chesterton.
Right.
It could even have it crack jokes like Chesterton using his sense of humor against me going, and Doug TenNapel is a known homophobe. He was like cracking jokes. AI. You guys have, so this is what I mean, Gabe. We think like, oh, AI, it's stealing what I do. It's drawing a hand just like I draw a hand. That's not what AI is doing. AI is trying to create, it draws and paints with entire storylines, entire plots, entire thought structures. It's a different tool. It is a tool.
Yeah. So what if
you're going to be able to paint with story and plot?
What if Pastor Toby wants to preach on Genesis chapter 2 this next Sunday and goes to AI?
Good job.
And goes to AI and says, I need a 5,000 word sermon in my voice on Genesis chapter 2, and then Toby brings that to preach to us on Sunday.
I have no problem with it. I think now it would be deception if he said, I wrote this by myself. But if he said, guys, I cranked out a sermon using AI, let's have it. I think it came up with something pretty good. I've had AI compare theology of Owen, Hodge.
Yeah, I do that.
All the time. Greek, Hebrew. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I go, I couldn't do this by myself.
Yeah.
I'd have to call a buddy and you have to sit there with me for an hour. And I say, summarize this in 300 words. And it'll summarize it. No, expand it. Now compare it to everything that Calvin and Luther wrote in their entire library. Okay. And it does it. I'm just saying,
it's helpful. It's super helpful. I'm not arguing that's not helpful.
Why do you not want it to help Toby spread the gospel? Wait till you guys release AI on the gospel. You ain't seen a power on the earth like training AI to make the most effective argument, say, against Muslims, Mormons. I've had to do it flat out against Catholics. I go, find what are the top 10 best arguments against Catholics, and AI banged it out. It's going to spread the gospel, and people are sitting here bitching at it. You dummies. It's a tool. It's a sledgehammer. I'm not saying it's morally good. It's a tool.
Someone said pre-sup AI.
It's funny because if Joel Osteen started saying, give me a Calvin sermon, I'd be like, yes, give him a Calvin sermon. I want Joel Osteen preaching Calvin.
Tell me, what are your thoughts about that question?
Well, I think it goes both ways. So the Muslims can do it too.
Absolutely.
And the Hindus can do it too. And the atheists can do it too. So, everybody has got the tool.
It's a tool.
But maybe respond to my question about like you as a pastor.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it seems to me that there's that is sort of the moral equivalent of like me reading a John Calvin sermon.
Yeah.
So
which we've had churches do.
Yeah,
Small church plans.
Is it ever appropriate to read someone else's sermon?
Yeah.
Sure. And if you have an analogous version of that, where I say write a sermon in my voice, but I would just say we ought to recognize the difference between reading someone else's sermon and actually preaching a message. I mean, I just think there's going to be there's a qualitative difference there. George Whitfield is said to have said that when somebody asked him if they could start copying down his sermons and writing down, he said, in principle, I have no problem with it, but you'll never be able to include the thunder and the lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I've stolen points from other preachers all the time.
And they want you to.
And
Free Mark Driscoll. Free Mark. Oh, sorry.
I didn't give him chapter and verse all the time on what I don't want to take credit for me because I don't want it to look like I did it.
Yeah.
I'm just going like, guys, look, I've stolen almost everything that I have from other people. People smarter
I
than me. I'm regurgitating this.
I know that, like for example, I mean, a student, Jesus says, is not above his teacher.
Yeah.
He becomes like his teacher.
Yeah.
And so, and I know that, like, I know there are certain things that I've just embodied from Doug, studying 100%. Under Doug for many, many years. Yep. I know I have turns of phrase and analogies that I just got from him. And sometimes I don't even know it. Sometimes I know it, and I'll try to, and I'll mention it. Yeah. But there have been moments where I reread Reforming Marriage after many, many years, and I'd done a bunch of work, and I wrote my book on marriage. And there were places where I was reading Reforming Marriage, like, oh, I got that from you.
And I should have given a little more.
But you wouldn't have a Doug Wilson if you didn't have P.G. Woodhouse or Chesterton either.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Or Lewis.
There's so much of that wit in him. And he doesn't sit there and go, by the way, guys, this whole cadence. I read one of his books. And he was doing this weird circuitous backfilled little commentary thing. And I go, he's right. That's so Chesterton.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
He doesn't sit there and go, by the way, guys, this cadence came from Chesterton.
I don't even know if he would know
credit.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm saying AI is going to be, it's just another tool. Guys, it's just another.
And I
can't even say it enough.
I would just make a distinction, though. Just in terms of preaching, I would say there is something in a man studying a text.
Yeah. God wants the Holy Spirit to come through you.
Yeah, and the truth of that text. And again, we already use tools to study a text.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've got Logos Bible software, you've got Accordance Bible software, whatever. Like, I mean,
commentaries. I mean, that's a tool. Yeah.
So all the stuff you're talking about, the tools of like what does this Greek word mean? How is it used in other places? Yeah, I think that's all fair game. But I do think there is a meaningful exercise in a man internalizing a text and proclaiming that personally to his people. That I think there can be a lot of use.
Well, we're commanded to do that, so it's not an option. I don't care if it's less functional or not, because we sit there and go, look, that guy didn't save hardly any. He's a terrible preacher.
Right.
God goes, don't stop that man from preaching.
Right.
Go preach.
Right.
All of you.
That's right.
I've kind of gotten to the point where kind of how we were talking about this earlier with electricity. You don't have to like it. You don't have to wire your house with it. You don't have to use it.
That's right.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
You don't have to build a bathroom in your house.
Literally, they don't do that.
You don't have to build a bathroom in your house. You can have an outhouse somewhere, and you can do that. You don't have to have running water and plumbing. You don't have to have any of that stuff. I'm going to, and I'm going to use it because it's not going in. We were talking about this earlier. It's not going anywhere, and we better get used to it. And we better figure out how to use it in a way that glorifies God, because it's about to. We were talking about how the GTA, Mario Brothers, the gaming world, Bitcoin, digital currencies, and AI, we're about to face a complete industry breakdown because somebody can play video games in their room and get cash the very moment they're playing it and make millions of dollars. They're already doing that in streaming.
Yeah.
Guys have computers that you were talking about our studio. You're like, this is a lot of production going on here, but people don't need this. They got a cell phone and the microphone in their cell phone.
They like content over quality. They like quantity over quality. And that's why I just knock it out.
Yeah. But it's here. It's not going.
But you're also saying, though, that there's an opportunity here for quality to go up.
100%.
But there's absolutely.
It will. It's just a tool. It's a new technology, and we're all Luddites deep down inside, and we don't like new technology. Right. It's disruptive. It could even make me never able to work again because I won't be able to compete on a market.
That's not
with
true.
AI.
Yeah.
It's entirely possible. I'm only saying, and I'm okay with that. It's like, but it's like stuff is disruptive.
Right.
But what I notice about AI is somebody like you with AI is going to blow somebody like me away.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what people don't understand. This is why I keep pushing for the educational side of it. The more people who understand the Odyssey and have read the Odyssey and know the Odyssey and know all the other authors that influenced and everything in history, they have a context to work with in order to prompt AI to do things. Yeah. You still have to know stuff, and you have to know stuff well enough to know if it's hitting it or if it's not hitting it.
Because it's a tool.
Because it's a tool. Absolutely.
Yeah. Is it a demon?
No.
Are there demons behind it?
No.
Are you talking about the people who made it?
No. Technology is neutral.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering: is it only technology? Is that all there is to it? I mean, there are people who believe that there's actually like spiritual powers behind this.
No.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to those people about theology any day to see what's going
on
behind it.
There is the concept of like garbage in, garbage out. If a human is producing, a model, a mathematical model, or some sort of
this is like the gun argument. Let's ban guns.
It's because guns
are evil.
I'm not saying ban it.
Guns are evil.
Either, but I guess
is there a spirit in the gun?
Yeah.
Is there a spirit in the bullet?
Yeah.
No.
Is it?
Absolutely not.
We're not pagans.
So. Where were you when Glenn Sunshine was here?
I wasn't here. Yeah. I would have loved to be here. I wasn't here.
Glenn was arguing for some of this.
A lot of people are arguing for that, and it's just flat out wrong.
Well, so I'm not sure.
I love Glenn. He's gonna hate me. I'm gonna see him pretty soon. He's gonna beat me. Could you come when I meet with Glenn again?
I'll talk to Glenn.
I mean, it seems to me though that you've got technology though. You're right. Technology is neutral all by itself.
But what is it though?
But technology is
influenced.
Is not
is manipulated. Is designed.
Is in a world that God made that has other spiritual powers that are at work in it. And human beings are not the only players in that universe.
Yeah, demons have been able to, do demons have a say in farming? Yes. It doesn't mean that farming in and of itself is super tilted to demons.
No.
So it's not the tool.
No.
It's that demons are opportunists. If they're there at all doing their thing, they would be opportunists. They would be brilliant at everything. And we've seen them work in the church in public speaking through evil church.
But isn't there something about
it's not an argument against the church.
No. But isn't there something about the gathering of knowledge itself?
Tower of Babel stuff.
Yeah, I mean, sort of, that there is, and the fact that there's, I mean, they'd be totally wrong. But there is at least a number of people that are talking like we are about to hit the singularity. We are about to do the cyborg thing.
It's gonna go south.
And I
because of man.
I know. And Babel
went south.
Babel is a high water. It's like that's as far as you get, and God stops things.
I don't like using the word went south because that's where the good stuff are at. Texas,
south
barbecue.
But that is an important big picture
Hindu
question.
Statues.
An important big picture question.
Right.
Right.
That's what I'm just asking. Like people are talking like this, and
this is nowhere near as disruptive as the Industrial Revolution. Okay, the Industrial Revolution destroyed more jobs, separated more family, destroyed more people, caused more depression, caused more separation of community than anything we've seen since that started with the Industrial Revolution. So now we're going to argue against what? Manufacturing and assembly lines? The long commute in and out of cities from being a rural community where you grew your own vegetables to now you can go to a market and buy something you didn't grow yourself. That's the argument that we're making. It's against the convenience of tech. And I'm not saying convenience of tech is moral. I only know if your daughter has to have a breast removed because she has breast cancer, it's great that there's such a thing as painkillers. That's new.
Yeah.
Painkillers are new.
Right. Yeah.
It's great to be able, that's technology.
And some of the AI work, particularly in the medical industry, is pretty amazing.
It's phenomenal. They're able to compare a breast scan with every breast scan that's been done on record, and it has a higher ability to pick which ones have breast cancer.
It's amazing.
So there's a better detection of breast cancer. That's AI. That's the same AI that you're arguing against. I'm just going like,
no.
It's going to be amazing.
What I'm arguing, I'm not arguing for the advancement of technology. I'm arguing is how does the lordship of Christ, how do we take dominion over AI? Where I think a lot of people are just, same thing with the cell phone. When the cell phone came out, everyone was like, oh, there's a lot of bad stuff that's going to happen.
Internet.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And as opposed, okay, so how do we bring that under the subjection of Christ? I'm totally pro cell phone.
I think we'll wade in and participate, number one. Dive in and do it. Because I hope there are Christian voices, or you can go the Amish route. There's no it's not immoral to say I don't want electricity.
No,
there's not a moral obligation.
I do think they're working harder and not smarter.
Well, you're allowed. It's free. God does not take a position and say you will embrace every technology that comes out.
Sure.
From here on.
Totally.
It's like it's not moral. You don't have to.
I would challenge that just a little bit, but be like, you just got given a talent. You're gonna go bury that?
Put it on a bowl.
Like, what are you going to do with that?
So I'm thinking. So
in 2025, you don't live in 1767.
God's glory. versus being willed for lies.
Well, the analogy I've been thinking of, and I'm curious what you weren't here. I brought it up with Glenn, but I'm curious what both of you guys think it is. I've been thinking about AI as it grows more and more like a kind of beast. Okay, it has a kind of mind of its own, but of course it functions with particular limits and particular significant limits at places. And wild beasts need to be tamed, and if you tame them well, they can be used for very useful things. You tame the ox, you tame the I don't know, a bear, maybe you can get it to work for you, and it can do, but it's also still always got this wild side, this dangerous side, and it can turn on you. So there's this goring ox law, for example, that says, if you own an ox and it gores people, if it's never done it before, then you just kill the ox and it's over. But if you knew about it and it gored at somebody before, then you're liable and you're responsible. So I'm thinking of like all the cool medical stuff, but what happens with the first time when that AI does it wrong and does the scans, and it usually gets it right and it's usually amazing, but then it says you need this, you've got this cancer, you need this surgery, and you totally, you do mastectomy and it was the wrong thing and the lady dies. Well, that to me, I would say, what do you do with that? And I would say, well, you got to apply God's law to that. And I would say that AI's got, that's got to be destroyed, or it's got, the owner of it's got to take responsibility for it.
Or if you put it out through Pfizer, they'll make a government mandate for it.
Back to the beast. The government's also a beast.
But anyways.
But technology, you can see like too, where you go like, well, why are you making a nuclear bomb made to blow up all kinds of people?
Yeah.
And now we have enough to blow up the whole world. At some point they go, well, that's a technology. And it can do a lot of damage. And we're getting to a point where, and AI is just one kind of technology that's going to do a lot, has the opportunity for great good and great evil.
Yep.
Same thing with robots, great good and ride, Sally, ride. It's going to be great good and great evil.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
So
but that goes back to like, you take dominion over it.
You got to take dominion.
We reign over it.
We have to rule it.
We have to rule it.
Absolutely. You want moral men in there weighing in. Do not put a bowler. If we want moral men weighing in on it. I want to say preferably a majority of us are in there weighing in on it.
But I mean, if you are not trained in God's law, then you are not going to have wisdom on how to use this and what to do with it. Like what you just did was a perfect outworking of what we're going to have to think about with self-driving vehicles.
That's the first thing I thought of when he said that.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Who's responsible? Who's responsible? Well, who owns the vehicle?
Right.
Okay. Who is that person? What AI are they using?
Or who's the program?
Who's the program? It's not like we haven't figured out how to do this, but if we don't have God's law that we can apply to this, and then we're not going to have any wisdom on how to work through these things. Right. And that's the thing that I'd be more concerned about. How much do you understand how God feels about human beings and how to protect them?
The image of
what
God.
Does he say about how do you treat people? I mean, so my only concern here is like, well, we're doing a really poor job of that when it comes to children in the mother's womb. We probably need to get that worked out really well before we start getting too crazy here.
We've been watching that horror
for a long time.
We ain't doing nothing about it. And we're over here mad at who's doing our animated cartoons with a computer. I got a bigger problem.
Right.
How about the big plan?
So that's what scares me. Is the fact that people don't
have Christians arguing that should be a state's issue. Whether for human beings should be allowed to live or not. I'm like, we believe it's a state's issue. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Whether for humans should live or not, you're going to put that to a vote at a state?
Right.
So then that part, that's where I started being. Somebody asked me, where do you feel concerned about AI? It's like the humans behind it. Like that's what concerns me because they don't have a moral bone in their body, and they're so that scares me.
Okay, we got 10 minutes. I want to turn the corner here on this last thing I want to talk about, Doug.
There's another corner.
Yeah, there's one more.
Okay.
One more. What do you think about Trump, and what do you think are the battles we need to fight this year?
Love Trump. I think we have an obligation, of course, to pray for our president always. I'm a huge fan of his because I believe that though he's probably not a righteous man, he's clearly, in a pragmatic sense, being used. There's good outcomes. All I can judge a man by is his fruit. I can't look at a man's heart.
Did you see all his Easter stuff?
Yeah.
Like, we're Christians. We're celebrating the resurrection of Jesus.
What other president has been that explicit?
That's what I said on the show.
Foul man who's probably not even a Christian. He's more explicit. I'm going, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
He's getting it from AI.
And then, by the way, he also did a horrifying Easter message of Happy Easter to all the fake people who voted in fake votes. And
I know.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's
I cringe
the
and
Lord
smile at the
resurrected
same
from the
time.
dead. You can't put that joke in there. but I think it really is like looking at King David and you're going like, well, I see these sins that King David did. Therefore, God can't be using him.
Right.
Therefore, he cheated on a guy and he had a guy murdered.
Yeah.
Therefore, clearly he's not God's. No, he's still my anointed.
But his Department of Justice also said we need to protect Christianity.
Yep.
I need to.
Yeah.
They're putting a anti-Christianity commission together, which is a duty of the government to defend Christianity and defend what was right.
And he
good.
does not care about LGBTQ. I've never seen someone insult LGBTQ more than the guy who doesn't care.
Right.
Yeah.
Like he's full on reversing things. He said, I'm okay with certain blah, blah abortion. He's like going into defund Planned Parenthood stuff that the most pro-life presidents like Reagan never even managed to do.
I think he lied to us on
He's
that
better
one.
than Reagan on so many levels. So
Yeah.
I know that we're talking about purely good works and pragmatism outcomes. So I get the danger
Sure.
of improper means that got him there and get him there. I only know that the alternative would be even worse means and even worse fruits.
Right.
So why am I arguing against the one guy that gets some things right?
I know.
Of course, against
Yeah.
perfection.
Yeah.
Where's all these perfect people at, who are arguing?
You asked the perfect people.
I have a
thought
beef
raised
like with
my hand.
Bronson, okay? Because David Bronson, I love him, I read him and everything, but I just go, I think these guys don't understand that there is still good things that a pagan like Trump does, that a pagan like Biden or a Catholic like Biden would never do.
Yeah.
And am I allowed to celebrate that without having to
interesting.
bring out every sin he's ever committed? Can I just say,
I'm actually getting won over to the fact that he actually very much might be a Christian now, because some of the serious actions that he's taken. I know.
Whoa, what you talking about?
He's on his third wife.
That's not what makes him a non-Christian.
No, but
He
like
traded up each time.
all the stuff that he's been doing in the name of Jesus, like Easter and like the anti-Christian commission and very practical stuff. I mean, he's going after Planned Parenthood, all these things. It's like at some point, maybe deep down inside, he really is. And of course, God picks us up where we're at, not where we should be. And that's all part of the equation. But I'm like, he keeps leaning into it actually more and more.
I don't
His
think
Christianity in 2016 is very different than where he is right
Well,
now.
he had a bullet
Doug,
come at his
I was
head.
gonna say,
so.
Doug, what did you think? What do you think the bullet, the assassination attempt? I mean, he's talked about like God spared my life, and I think God spared my life for a reason. I mean, do you not think that that's done anything particularly to him?
It doesn't buy a lot of acreage with me because, God also took someone's life with that bullet that missed him. And I think without a direct message from a prophet that can tell you what God did, none of us can know what his will is and what he's doing. We can only know that he did it. I can't give you a cause like he spared Trump so he could win.
No, I know. That's not what I'm
asking.
saying.
Yeah,
I'm asking more about like what it did to Trump subjectively.
Like-
I don't know what God meant by it for sure, but I'm just wondering,
Like it woke Trump up.
did that
more.
affect Trump more than maybe?
Sure.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I mean, it affected MAGA me more also. They tried to kill him.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for him 10 times more.
Right.
But I mean, he wanted to be president before he got shot, and then he got shot, and he really, really wanted to be president.
But
And
just
I'm
in terms of
all for
also,
both.
God uses things in our lives to wake us up and draw us near to Him. That's kind of Toby's question. Is like, do you think it woke up Trump in his walk with the Lord?
I don't, because I think it would be like if I won the lottery, which I'm all for, Lord. If I won the lottery, and then I'm trying to divine a message out of that.
Like God wanted me to have this money. Obviously.
Yeah, or if your kid dies in a car wreck, Lord forbid, and you just go, yeah, I'm going to divine a reason behind that. I don't know what the reason is. I only know that it happens on anything.
And we know God works all things to good. We know His word.
100%.
Yeah.
And so that's where my faith is whether if Trump won or Kamala Harris won. Number one, I'm before the Lord. I'm allowed to 100% say, I hope Trump wins because I believe America will die if he doesn't win. And I can also say, if Kamala wins, that's God's will. And I'm here to fight her, or I'm here to oppose her, or I'm here to whatever her. But I'm totally okay with saying God's perfect will is going to still come. I'm not threatened by when bad things happen, and I'm not encouraged by when good things happen. I don't suddenly get the righteousness button because things go my way for a day.
But doesn't God promise that, generally speaking, God's people should expect his blessings on their obedience? Honor your father and mother, that'll go
On
well
earth,
with you. Yeah.
What does virtue have to do with success with Job? What did we learn from Job on virtue? What does virtue have to do with success?
Yeah. That he got everything back.
He still lost. That didn't help
Right.
his kids. They
Yeah.
got ground up.
He learned that God is sovereign, but also that God is still profoundly good. And so
in the midst of God letting Satan go after him,
even when he does take away and cause suffering, he is still after our good. And sometimes in this world, do we not taste it very much? Absolutely. That's his sovereign prerogative. But Jesus still says, I tell you the truth, everyone who's given up houses and families for my name's sake will receive those houses back in this life and eternal life.
Wait, but promised in this life?
That's what he says.
That's prosperity doctrine.
Jesus said it.
They didn't get everything
but
wrong.
it's not true that it's happened. You know, there's been Christians that did not get a reward, did not get their property. They were righteous, and their only reward was to see their kids fed to lions, and they were died a terrible.
So what did Jesus mean?
He meant that in truth, in the big picture of things, given in the afterlife where true justice comes.
You got a problem with Jesus.
You got a problem with Proverbs too.
Now, I'm not saying he means that universally, exhaustively, every last person that's lost a house gets a house back.
Mm-hmm.
But Jesus said it. So I'm just saying, aren't we to be inclined to expect God to bless us in this life? It's his prerogative.
For being faithful and trusting
and he can say no.
Yeah.
It's just for your good, no.
Yeah.
And we believe him. And we trust him.
I'm also saying it as a guy that can probably, my life would counter my own argument, which is I've had nothing but blessings and hardly any suffering.
Yeah.
Like I can't
Right.
explain this. I only say I don't go to bed every night going, I earned that.
Oh no, I don't do
of
that
course.
either.
I have this, this is a reward. This fruit is a reward for my, I go.
If it's really grace, I mean, God if God is kind to us, if we're heading into that direction, God is going to withhold it because that would just be a noose around our neck. But God's grace is tangible. It's not just ethereal. And so, but as he gives it and he blesses us, the grateful heart, the believing heart says, I don't deserve any of this.
Yeah.
But look, he keeps giving it.
But is Paul's message, I mean, read Paul. Come on, people. Is his big picture message as he's going through suffering, though, if I'm righteous, I'm going to get the houses and the product, or is it not that I get to identify with the suffering of Christ, and Christ is like prepping you, going, if it happened to you, it happened to me first. He's not going.
I don't think it's either or.
I don't believe in the goodies on earth thing.
Yeah, but why does Paul?
Not theonomist.
but why does Jesus say then? Why does Jesus say that? So the very same Jesus who says you got to take up your cross and follow me, also says, I tell you the truth, if you give these things up, I promise to provide these things for you, eternal, both in this life and in the life to come.
Sure.
I mean, he says that. Paul says, again, you're right, he's all about suffering, but he also says to the kids in Ephesus, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. This is the first command with a promise that it may go well with you in the land.
In the land. That's right.
That the Lord your God is giving you. And he says that to Gentile kids in Asia Minor.
Doug likes to be pleasantly surprised, like, he did it again. He just keeps blessing me.
I didn't have it coming.
And AI. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
AI is going to be quite a blessing, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. In this life. In this
Okay,
life.
you're going. Wait. You're going somewhere after this, right?
Live
Yeah, we're going to an art show, guys. My art show
at the Pyrean
at
Gallery.
the Pyrean Gallery right here.
Just blocks away from
Yes.
Hollywood.
On Main
I'm
Street.
I'm gonna head over there.
And are you going to be at the Fight Laugh Feast conference this fall?
in Nashville.
In
We're in
Nashville?
Nashville.
Oh,
And you're
16th
come
back
on.
through the 18th.
I'll be there.
Yes.
Yes.
Rocket Town.
I like
be
putting
there.
Doug on the spot right
Yes.
there.
He's never on the spot.
The theme this year is school wars, right? How we're going to rebuild Christendom with our kids.
Good.
So you all need to sign up.
Keep your kids and raise them.
That's
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
Sign up now. Go to fightlaughfeast.com. Love to see you there in October at Rocket Town.
Brother, it's always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah,
Appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you, Doug.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have some kids. If you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic.
Let's go.
Oh.
I don't really like working.
I only work remotely.
I'm gonna need 8 weeks of paid vacation, maybe 12.
I take a lot of breaks. I feel more mentally healthy.
I'm gonna need a priority parking space.
Do you have non-dairy options in a coffee bar? Do you have soy? Do you have a decaf, half-calf kind of thing? Interviews are so boring.
How's your game?
Do I need to call my dad? You work for him, you know.
You guys are so intense. Like, do you always work this hard?
You don't run a daycare, you run a business. That's why you need redballoon.work.